Greetings from BC, everyone. I'm Ellen Burkholder-Miller from the class of 1979, and today we are here with Jason Ridlon from the class of '02. He is our 2019 Young Alumnus Award recipient. So let me tell you a little bit about this award, and then we will have questions for Jason. The Young Alumnus Award, it was established in 1980. And the BC Alumni Association gives this award to an exceptional alumnus or alumna who has attained outstanding vocational and professional achievements. These alumni live out the spirit of service and show great potential for future exceptional achievements and advancement. So welcome, Jason. We're really glad that you're with us today.
Thank you, Ellen. I really appreciate you having me on to talk today.
Great. So the first question has two parts, actually. Why did you attend BC, and what were you involved in while you were a student here?
So I attended BC because I wanted the small campus environment. I went to a Catholic high school with a small graduating class, and I felt kind of overwhelmed when I was at Tech and some of the other large schools. And also the Shenandoah Valley was always a destination my family sought, each year for Thanksgiving. And so, it felt very warm and sort of right. Most important for me was the number of rivers around the campus, which I spent a lot of time outside of class. I'm a big fisherman. I really wasn't involved in a lot of activities outside of intramural basketball. I did a lot of weightlifting and of course went to football and lacrosse games. But once I realized that I wanted to be a scientist, I spent much of my time out in the field, in the library, and in the lab. But I did participate in a lot of social events like movies and comedians that were hosted in the Eagle's Nest.
Nice. So what would you say is the most important thing you learned while you were here at BC? And then what's your best memory?
I think like most young people, you feel sort of unsure of yourself and your views about the world. It's difficult to explain why you hold, certain beliefs. And what I learned at BC was not only that it was important to, question my own biases, but also to acquire the tools of thought that would allow me to sort of do this. The liberal arts education, I think is crucial for this development. And I learned different tools taking science, math, philosophy, sociology, literature, history, et cetera. And I think, introspection is important. And so that was one thing that I kind of learned to do and, continually check my own opinions and biases against, the facts provided by the world around me. And so that was really what I think my education did for me more than anything. It's difficult to say what my best memory is because there were so many and they're all good for different reasons. So I'll give you maybe a few here. So meeting the woman that I would later marry was a good memory, feeling of excitement and partnership. Relating to my studies, I was told by Professor Hensley that there was a stream somewhere in Rockingham that had a blue bottom and blue crayfish. Crayfish are a major source of food for, the bass in the rivers. And so, I'm a fisherman, as I said, I spent a lot of time fishing for bass. And so I was well aware what the bass were eating and that all the crayfish in those rivers were brown in the same species. So at the time I was interested in fisheries ecology, but I saw this as an interesting, evolutionary biology question that would allow me to put what I learned in my biology coursework to practice. So I went out to every creek and stream in the county in my old blue Dodge truck with no luck. And then it happened that it was sort of dumb luck. One weekend, my friends and I were, camping at Hone Quarry at a spot we frequented. And we walked a few hundred yards up to Hone Quarry Run coming off of the reservoir. And I noticed this artificial blue slate stone bottom. I'd been there, 100 times before and just overlooked it. I started rooting around and I found the blue crayfish that I had been looking for. And so that was a pretty good memory that led to, a year of experimental work with Dr. Barron, which ended up being, one of the most important relationships in my professional career.
Nice. That's great. So tell us what your career is right now and what are your passions?
So I'm currently an assistant professor. I'm about to go up for tenure this spring in the Department of Animal Sciences at the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. I'm an anaerobic microbiologist by training, focusing on bacteria that inhabit the gastrointestinal tract. My research involves, how bacteria alter steroid hormones in the body, which affect, both health and disease. And studying these processes requires, understanding bacterial genomes, discovery of bacterial genes, structural biology, human and animal physiology and biochemistry. We use germ-free mouse and pig as experimental models. We add in certain bacteria, some of which we genetically engineer. And then we can test the role of single bacterial genes on immune system development, the formation of cancers, and other diseases. So I'm currently training 2 PhD students and 2 postdoctoral fellows. I teach biochemistry in the fall and also a course in gut microbiology in the spring. My passions now are my family, my wife Elizabeth, and our 2 boys, Jackson, who's 8, and Sebastian, who's 6. We spend all day, every day right now together, but it's been a very happy, time since the pandemic started. It's great to be, with the kids. So, we try to keep things interesting. I take the boys fishing at a local pond every few days. They're really good fishermen already at their young age, and they like to explore. And it gives me a chance to teach them, some biology. I read a lot, mostly nonfiction, philosophy and politics these days. I dabble a little bit in literature. I had a yeast company when I was in Virginia, in Richmond, that provided breweries, fresh yeast. And I still brew. I consult for a brewery in town, and actually I produce all their yeast. So I also isolate yeast from the environment. And use those for brewing. For brewing, some of the most exotic ones that I've obtained were actually from Scotland, from a castle in Scotland. So that's a bit of a hobby and a business that kind of keeps me going. I'm also writing a book on isolating yeast for home brewers. So it's important to keep the mind occupied and have lots of products. Boredom is sort of intolerable for me.
That's great. So when you received this Alumni Award, the Young Alumnus Award, what did it mean to you?
So the award was really a reflection of, the superb mentorship that I received from Dr. Stephen Barron in the biology department. So, I've had a good fortune of having a lot of good mentors, during my time. He spent a lot of time with me developing a method to answer some of the questions that I was interested in. He taught me techniques with his spare time to arrive at some conclusions that were very exciting for me. And that really ignited my passion for research. If you had told me at the time that I was a student, that I'd be returning to BC to give the Silliman Endowed Lecture and then the Young Alumnus Award, and also talking with you today, I'm certain that I would have been very shocked. I was very honored to, be recognized for my work and to be able to visit the campus, see Dr. Barron and many of the professors that had taught me when I was a student, and all the students, experiencing the education that I valued. It was really great to see so many enthused students.
Great. So our last question, what advice would you give to our current BC students?
The first thing I would say is continue learning. So when you're handed the degree, don't think of this as the end of your education. It's really just the beginning. Gather those tools of thought, from your professors and your peers, because you're going to learn a lot from your peers too, as you're studying together, which will serve you in seeking knowledge. I would say, look for unity and compassion, and try to avoid division. Adopt a scientific view of the world and act in a way that, protects yourself and those around you, especially during these difficult times.
Well, thank you so much, Jason. It was great to get to know you a little better, and I appreciate you sharing. And to all of you listening, please send in names of people that are outstanding that might be good options for this award, the Young Alumnus Award, or the Distinguished Alumnus, or the West Whitelow Humanitarian Award. So thank you all for listening, and go Eagles!